What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the CNA Critique. Today I'm going to be reviewing this year's Valentine's Day date movie, The Photograph. Now, it seems like every year we get one of these romantic movies that seem to only exist to make money on Valentine's Day. Last year it was Isn't It Romantic, which starred Rebel Wilson. The year before that was 50 Shades Freed. And the year before that we got 50 Shades Darker. Remember that 50 Shades franchise? God, I'm so glad we're done with that shit. But this year we got The Photograph starring Issa and Lakeith Stanfield, two of the hottest actors in Hollywood right now. But is this just another Valentine's Day cash grab, or does this movie prove that black love does indeed conquer all? Let's dive in.
I just don't understand why she couldn't tell me about her life while she was alive.
Maybe she thought it would help you look at her in another way.
Hey, I'm Michael Block from The Republic. I'm doing a story about your mom.
How's your article coming?
To be honest, I was a little distracted, so I kept running back in my mind how you might respond to me asking you for a drink.
So that was you asking me?
In my mind, it wasn't that forward. You know what I mean? It was more smoother than that.
I'm assuming if you're watching this movie on Valentine's Day weekend, you know what you're getting yourself into, right? This is pretty much your standard rom-com, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Hollywood doesn't really crank out rom-coms nearly as much as they used to, especially since Hollywood has been more focused on making big, dumb blockbusters than they are making these smaller movies that won't make them much money. But needless to say, if you like rom-coms or rom-coms that celebrate black love, like Love and Basketball, Brown Sugar, If Beale Street Could Talk, then you should have a good time with this movie. Issa Rae is the main character. You might know her from her work on the HBO show Insecure. Here she plays the daughter of a famous photographer that just died. She doesn't know too much about her mom. Her mom was kind of a deadbeat when she was growing up, but she ends up finding these diaries and pictures that her mom had in a safety deposit box, leaving her with a bunch of questions. Then she meets this journalist played by Lakeith Stanfield, who helps her uncover the answer to those questions. Lakeith Stanfield, man, I gotta say, he's probably my favorite actor going right now. I mean, he starred in so many good movies these last couple years. Get Out, Sorry to Bother You, Uncut Gems, Knives Out. I'm not even mentioning Atlanta, which is one of my favorite shows on television at the moment. Here in The Photograph, you get to see more of a sensitive side to Lakeith Stanfield that I haven't seen in any of his other movies, and he plays it well. Obviously, he's not a Denzel Washington or a Will Smith, but he doesn't try to be. He's just a chill guy who's cool, calm, and collected, and he was probably my favorite part of this movie. This movie obviously hinges on the chemistry between Issa Rae and Lakeith Stanfield, and the chemistry is definitely there, don't get me wrong, but this movie actually has two different storylines going on in two different time periods. You got Issa Rae and Lakeith Stanfield. Their relationship makes up the main storyline of the movie, but then the film flashes back to Issa Rae's mother, who's played in this film by Shantae Adams, and her love life, and you get to see how these two relationships parallel each other. This movie is also kind of interesting in the sense that this film is just as much about the parental relationship between mother and daughter, just as much as it is the romantic relationship between a man and a woman. I really like the concept of this movie, not just being about romantic love, but also parental love and the love shared between friends. This isn't just like a one-note movie. This is a movie that gives it to you from all these different angles. This film also does a good job showing you how the relationships you're exposed to as a child shapes up how you act in your own relationships once you get older. If you grow up in a household where your parents are fighting all the time, then most likely you're gonna grow up thinking that fighting all the time is just a normal part of being in a relationship. And that's what the center of this movie is about. There's things that Issa Rae's character sees when she was younger that she ends up taking it out on Lakeith Stanfield's character, and there's stuff that Lakeith Stanfield's character does that's a result of things he witnessed when he was a kid. Not too many movies share that aspect of relationships, especially rom-coms, so that's something that I appreciated in this movie. This is a movie that is something I feel like a lot of people can relate to.
My mother wasn't very good at love. What if I'm just like her? How are you supposed to know if you want to spend forever with someone?
I want to try to be together.
It's not practical.
I'm not trying to be practical. I want to be with you.
There are a few cliche plot points here that come along in almost like every rom-com, and they're definitely present in this movie. If you're familiar with rom-coms and the story structure, you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. But other than a couple of obligatory melodramatic scenes, it didn't really bother me that much. This movie has a pretty realistic and grounded view of love, which isn't something that we get to see on screen too often, especially coming from an African American point of view. I will say though, as a 30-year-old guy who has watched enough movies to know what demographic a certain film caters to, the movie is definitely geared towards the female demographic, which isn't a surprise because it's told from a female point of view and comes out on Valentine's Day. But if you're a woman wondering if you can take your boyfriend to this movie, the answer, first of all, is yes, because he's going to do whatever you tell him to do anyways. But most importantly, I think you should take your boyfriend to see this movie because this is the type of movie that a guy might not see more than once, but at least he'll get something out of it the one time he does watch it. I mean, I know I did. Quick shout out to the supporting cast too. Lil Rel Howery, who was also in Get Out. He's the comedic relief here like always. He has a few funny scenes here. He plays Lakeith Stanfield's best friend. It's funny watching him deal with the chaos that is being a father while at the same time living vicariously through his friend. It's a role we've seen before, a la Seth Rogen in 50-50, but it's a role Lil Rel plays well. By the way, I feel kind of stupid saying the name Lil Rel, but until the guy changes his name, I guess I'm kind of stuck saying it. Shantae Adams and Ilan Noel are also solid taking care of the secondary love story. Their relationship kind of gets the short end of the stick both narratively and in screen time spent. I wish the writers would have spent more time fleshing out this B storyline, even though there were times I felt like their storyline got in the way of the main storyline. But then again, this love story is important to the overall theme of the movie, so I can see why the writers made the choices they did. But overall, guys, I'm a fan of this movie, if I'm going to be honest. It's good to see a movie that's led by a black cast that isn't centered around tragedy, struggle, slavery. We get it, Hollywood. Slavery happened. We don't need a movie every fucking year to remind us. The Photograph is a movie that pretty much wears its heart on its sleeve. You know what you're getting when you're going in. But as far as Valentine's Day movies go, it's actually a pretty solid, albeit unremarkable effort. This movie gets a B- for me. It'll get lost in the shuffle since Sonic and Fantasy Island are coming out at the same time, but it's a movie that audiences, especially female and black audiences, will enjoy. But alright guys, that's my review of The Photograph. You know what I'm going to say next, right? If you like this video, please give the thumbs up button. It'll help this video out a lot. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button. It'll help the channel out a lot. And it lets me know how I'm doing. And remember, movies may fade, but real legends never die.